to the show. It's another week, another shit show. You know how it goes. With me, as always, the only, the one, Luigi. Hello, Luigi. How are you?
Konnichiwa, George-sama.
How are you this fine week?
Doing really well. There's so much to discuss, as always. But I mean,
As
the news
always.
cycle is heating
Wait,
up. Bullshit is raining from the skies, George.
the news cycle waits for nobody, Luigi, including moi and toi.
Whoa.
Oh, so should we get straight to it, Luigi? Should we get straight to it?
Let's dive right into it.
So let's dive right into it by looking back on the previous week, Luigi, because we had an episode right on the day of the Iowa caucuses, and it seems that Donald Trump defied didn't defy all expectations. It was basically, it was 50-50 whether he was going to do it. He did it. 51%, he won 51% of the vote in Iowa, giving him the largest margin of victory in the history of the state's Republican caucuses.
The king returns to Iowa.
The king returneth to Minas Tirith.
Wow. A return of the Orange King. Defeating the forces of evil and various other Republicans.
Defeating the globalist forces of evil. The Florida King defeating the Florida King and
so much news,
Haley.
so much news on that front. So I'm gonna spoil it right away. Trump, it's just Trump and Nikki Haley left in the race, right? So DeSantis has dropped out, the Pastrami has dropped out, and they've both endorsed Trump. Yeah, there it is. It's really funny, by the way, that DeSantis looked really happy as he was making the announcement that he's dropping out. He doesn't really want it. He doesn't want it.
So, I mean, right straight out of Iowa, he cleared out DeSantis. And anything you want to say about the Florida King? Anything, Luigi?
He shall be missed. Look, the Florida King is important. As much as I like to make fun of him for being awkward as hell for a politician, he has Florida in his back pocket. And with that, I mean electorally. Florida used to be one of the biggest battleground states. It's not anymore because of DeSantis. So as much as it saddens me, he has a huge role to play on the national stage, unfortunately.
Do you want to know some numbers on the Florida King? I've got some numbers that I think you will find very interesting, Luigi. The Florida King, by some estimates, and his allied super PAC, spent at least $53 million in Iowa, which makes a return of roughly $2,262 per vote, as he lost by nearly 30 percentage points. What a return, right?
A return on investment.
The Florida King, people. The Florida King.
Look,
should we elaborate a little bit? Why do you think it wasn't meant to be? Let's be honest, wasn't meant to be.
I think DeSantis.
Yeah, obviously. Why? I mean, with that kind of return, I mean, it wasn't meant to be, right?
I mean, he threw money at the problem, but sometimes you need more than money. Right? I mean, money solves most electoral issues most of the time, but sometimes when the candidate is just unlikable,
completely uncharismatic, completely, utterly, I mean, mind-blowingly uncharismatic. I mean, genuinely.
And you have such a strong candidate on the other side in Trump. Yeah, it's gonna be a slaughter. It's not gonna be an election.
The strongest.
I win. I don't know how to lose at this point, George.
So strong.
So
look at that mouth. That little so strong.
DeSantis dropped out. The Pastrami dropped out. They've both endorsed Trump.
They both. It was pretty pathetic. I think they both came. Maybe not Ron, but Pastrami was there, right? Vivek was there.
Vivek attended the rally. The Florida King was like, "I'm going back to Florida."
Miami kissed the ring. And should we jump right on to what has happened yesterday? Or was the day before? I think it was anyway.
New Hampshire. The New Hampshire primary.
Hampshire primary, Luigi. I just want to say about New Hampshire. last time, I mean, I have very different feelings for New Hampshire than I have for, I mean, fuck Iowa, but New Hampshire, dear to our hearts, Luigi, elected Bernie twice, back to back in those primary, live free or die, living free, New
Living
Hampshire.
free, living
Living
free.
free, dying
Yeah.
nevertheless, but we love New Hampshire. So what Biden did, unacceptable, unacceptable. They snapped them, right? There was
What
a
did he
whole,
do?
they were the biggest fudge ever. They wanted to do South Carolina first, so the DNC effectively ruled that South Carolina is going to be the first to vote. But New Hampshire Democrats were like, fuck you. We're the first in the nation. We're New Hampshire. And by the way, I love that because the little twist is that Iowa doesn't count because it's a caucus.
Yeah,
So
New
then,
Hampshire
so
is a
the
primary. Mhm.
yeah, yeah, so the New Hampshire Democrats were like, fuck you, no. And so in the end, Biden was not going to be in the fucking ballot. So he had to have a write-in campaign, which he fucking won. We'll get to that soon. But it was an unbelievable fudge by the Democrats on this. But Trump had a primary. He won it. He won it. Spoiler alert. He won it again.
But hold on. So let's look at those percentages for a second.
Which
That's
percentages?
yeah, the Republican New
The Republican. Yeah,
Hampshire
yeah, yeah, yeah,
percentages.
yeah.
Dude, that's pretty close.
A
I
record
mean,
turnout, by the way, in Tuesday's primary, more than
yeah,
300,000 votes.
I
Yeah,
mean, Nikki Haley isn't she isn't an impressive candidate. Yes, there's been a lot of money thrown at her from PACs and whatever financiers, whoever gives money to the Republican Party these days. So I'm surprised she's doing that well against Trump. That almost says to me that there's like 40% of the Republican Party that just doesn't want Trump and they're willing to take anyone else. Maybe
how
we're
dare
underestimating.
you? How
Maybe
dare who is this guy? He's a traitor, a vermin. He's a radical pervert.
he
That's what
doesn't
he
like
is.
Trump. It's okay. We
That
don't like him either.
It's okay. It's okay. We're still gonna win, folks. But I
Hold on.
agree 100% with what you were observing, Luigi. That
Yeah,
Nicky ran him pretty fucking close in this one,
I mean,
which was
10% difference.
expected. It was expected to be fair, but I mean, running Trump this close is a bit alarming, right?
Is that a local phenomenon? Like, is that specific to New Hampshire because New Hampshire tends to lean a little bit more to the left, perhaps?
They have more independence in it, yes. And another thing I wanted to note was that that doesn't supersede what we. I mean, Donald Trump is obviously gonna win the primaries. Donald Trump is gonna be the primary candidate for the Republican, but that might pinpoint what is happening right now. Might be pinpointing to general election weaknesses that he might have.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's why I wanted
Yeah.
to point out because obviously he's gonna win it. He won both New Hampshire and Iowa. He's gonna be the fucking primary, the Republican nominee. But
Well,
still,
100%.
he's running him close, right?
I mean, I think nobody saw Nikki Haley getting anywhere close to 40%. And yeah, it's a two-person race now, so that makes it
How
easier.
dare
But
you? How dare
yeah,
you? The great Binkley, the
to
great
quote
Binkley.
to quote the eternal Conor McGregor, who the fuck is that guy?
I no clue, no clue. Let's bypass him entirely. Pretend I never mentioned it. Yeah, yeah. So I mean that close, which goes to show that I mean there's been a stupid CNN report that Trump is fuming about this, Luigi. I mean during the speech he issued a warning. Just a little note to Nikki. She's not gonna win. But if she did, she would be under investigation by those people in 15 minutes. And I could tell you 5 reasons why already.
Wow. So much for 15 minutes, 5 reasons. Wow. I mean,
We're very mathematical, Luigi.
very
We're,
mathematical.
we have the greatest minds, the greatest. They do
Most
maths.
stable of geniuses,
You
the
wouldn't
most stable.
believe. You wouldn't believe. But I mean, it goes to show that he's agitated about this. We've got some numbers as well. Nikki Haley, by the way, has his sister. She's not dropping out. Of course, I mean, polls show Trump leading Haley by roughly 30 percentage points in South Carolina, which is her home state. Nice to
That that
note.
that that, that is
Makes it extra
That's a
spicy.
bad
Yeah.
look. Yeah.
That's a bad look.
So
It's what we commonly call a bad look. Yeah, yeah.
no,
Uh,
but okay. Here's the sense I'm getting. So Nikki is gonna lose. She's gonna lose by a country mile. Everybody knows it. She knows it. The fact that she stays in the race, A, says that they want to sort of portray that there's some electoral process actually going on, and B, like I'm gonna keep saying this. I think that there's a minority of like people that finance the Republican Party that are just uncomfortable with another 4 years of Trump, and they've been desperately trying to throw money at anything else. And I mean, Nikki's their last stand. I mean, she's doing better than I expected, but zero chances she actually makes it. So I don't know
Ron
what that return on.
DeSkunky, because Ron DeSkunky was weak. He was weak. He was
The
not a king.
skanky,
He
the
was not
stinky.
the stinky, so stinky. Those the heats pudding with his fingers. He was weak. He was weak, Luigi. So it's gonna be ni Mrada, ni Mikarada, Haley, whatever her name is, whatever she is. I don't know what she is, but we're gonna defeat her. We're gonna destroy her, Luigi. We've got some numbers as well. If you're interested,
We
I've
love
got
numbers. We
we love
love
numbers.
numbers.
We're very mathematical. More than half, fit for president, 86% of New Hampshire voters who supported Trump said they did not believe Biden was legitimately elected, while 77% of Haley supporters acknowledged the legitimacy of the 2020 result.
Yeah, you see,
And
that's a split. That's
oh,
basically the
that's
split.
a
That says
massive
everything.
split. Yeah, yeah, massive split. And overall, 47% of New Hampshire voters said Biden was legitimately elected, while 51% said he was not.
Wow.
And you can see over here, another massive split along
How can
along
you
the
be
line. Yeah.
split? How can you be split down the middle about whether the election was stolen? I mean, it's been 4 years. We've investigated
They have a
the
beautiful
hell out of it.
democracy. They have a vibrant. It's so vibrant. And
Wow.
you've got another massive split, so Luigi over here, with 60% of those with a college degree supported Haley, while nearly two-thirds of those without a college degree supported Trump. Trump of the people, which is sad, isn't it? It's kind of sad that
I
you
am
support
the
them.
people. No, some people say I'm working class as well.
It's,
Yeah. So,
it's sad. It's
yeah.
sad.
All right.
And
So
what was the last?
Trump
Oh,
on
yeah, we
his
did that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, let you
Trump on
go
his
on.
way to victory. Haley doing better than expected, and New Hampshire voters, basically half of them believe the election was stolen. So that I think describes the mood in the
Oh
country.
yeah, and just to finalize on the coming and just to note on the general election, the coming general elections, and what it might bode for that. 60% of self-described independent voters backed Haley in New Hampshire, which I think is important.
Really
Um,
important because a third of the country, maybe more, is independent, right?
About there, yeah, about thereabouts. So that's gonna shape things up accordingly. And let's finish up on the Democratic primary, Luigi.
Jack, you
Jack,
can do it, Jack.
Jack fucking nails it. That's how you do it.
Jack crawled his way to victory.
Dude, look at this. Look at this. This is so basic, so basic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
10% pointed. And this is Joe motherfucking Jack, fucking corn pop Biden. Paves the way,
Those
shows you how it's
percentages,
done.
those
Those are
percentages
the
don't
percentages,
they
Luigi.
don't add up.
What do you mean they don't add up?
Unprocessed writing, yeah, I mean that's 55% plus 20 plus
Oh,
5.
you've got more below
There's
there, and
oh
then
okay.
you've got 6% on counter as well. The count hasn't finished, people. But the victory is assured, let me tell you. I've
It's
got
a
it in the bag, Jack. I beat him
crushing
like a
victory.
drum. I beat the fucking Dean Phillips. Who the fuck is that guy? Fuck that guy. What do
I
you think
do.
about?
Yeah, yeah. By the way, I want to discuss this with you. There's been okay. There are like whispers in media articles, but like not from credible newspapers. Things like the New York Times that Michelle Obama, the New York Post, excuse me, which is not really a credible newspaper, but that Michelle
Dirty,
Obama.
dirty Murdoch money. Yes.
Michelle Obama might be thinking like the Obamas think that Joe is so weak, on a national level, that Michelle is thinking about like running.
Listen up, Joe. You ain't gonna make it. You ain't gonna make it.
I mean, betting sides like have Michelle Obama winning the nomination as a 1 to 10 sort of probability odds,
Nah, man. Fuck that
which is
shit. I'm gonna
which is
run,
almost
Jack.
which is almost 10% as a
Yeah, I mean,
probability.
I mean, if you're asking for my opinion, I don't know. I
Uh-huh.
don't know. I mean, Michelle Obama is a point of obsession among right-wing newspapers. So, and even left-wing, and even center ones as well. So, I mean, it's always a possibility. I think she could defeat Trump, possibly. I mean, we've seen her make a few nice speeches. That's it. I methink as far as we know. But I think there's no way this is happening. If you're asking me about the possibility of it
Okay.
happening.
Okay.
Do you
I'd
think?
say it might be even a little bit better than 10%. I mean, I think that there's an outside chance like that the inside of the Democratic leadership sort of they understand how weak Joe Biden is. They understand he's not gonna be able to face Trump in a debate. And they
Dare you,
might try.
Jack? I'm gonna beat him like a drum. I'm gonna fuck his face up. How about fucking dare you? I tell him, you're a fascist, man. You're a fascist. I'm Joe. I'm motherfucking Jack.
Just shut up, man. Come on, shut up.
Shut up. Fuck.
Shut up. Come on.
Fuck.
Those were the two lines that won him the last debate. Like four
They want
years
him.
ago, we had to resort to shut up and come on.
Oh, that-
What trick is Joe gonna pull this time?
Malarkey. It's the malarkey, man.
The
Fuck you.
malarkey. Swimming in malarkey. All right, all right. I think you can call. Yeah. Let's wrap this up, George. All right.
I'm gonna fuck up your malarkey, man. I'm gonna fuck it. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
so
um, but Jack, I mean, with those numbers, Luigi, I don't think there's a possibility of any of that happening.
okay,
And
Jack is gonna win. By the
it's
way,
in the bag. It's in the bag. He's not just gonna win, Luigi. I mean, the
I
basement
haven't
strategy is a guaranteed victory strategy. I'm gonna
basement
double that.
strategy.
The famous basement strategy. And I mean, last line, I don't remember which episode ago, but I elaborate on Jack's path to victory, and I stand firmly behind it, Luigi. Firmly behind it.
Certainly.
He's going in the bag. He's going in the
D-
bag.
Do elaborate, please. How does Jack Biden win? Because the economy is not really gonna get better.
Just like last time, baby. Just like fucking last time. We're gonna
Well,
sail right through into the sunset, Jack.
last time he won by get
We're
out
gonna
and vote.
save the soul of you, of the of this country. We're gonna save it. Who are you? Where am I?
It's somebody,
Just like
somebody
last
please.
time, Luigi. It's just, I'm sorry, but Trump is so fucking toxic. Trump is so fucking
Yeah, but
nebulous,
I
so
mean,
fucking,
Biden is weak, and the Americans dislike nothing more than weakness.
yeah.
Like,
But
they can smell it.
one of the things that I really rely on is that they've already rejected Trump. That's one of the things I rely on. It's different. It's different from Nixon, who had to run 3 times or whatever, because they never tried him. That's my thing. It's always like, let's try this flavor. Like, Trump, they tried it, and then they were like, no, fuck no. And then, so I think back to back, baby. I think Jack's got it back to back.
Yeah, we're gonna see about that. I would take the other side of that bet as things stand now. I
It's
think
pretty
that
much 50-50.
ultimately, people want someone that's relatively strong as their leader, and they've also had like
Dun, dun,
But
dun, 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 dun,
dun,
dun.
dun, 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 dun. Yeah, but
Bow, you
last four
little
years,
shits.
the last 4 years have been pretty bad economically speaking. I think a lot of people vote with their wallets as well. And, in that sense, we had the best economy, the best economy. We're gonna have an even better one. So
Definitely,
we're gonna
that
see.
is an
Question
argument.
mark.
That's a definite argument, that definitely. And I mean, I'm willing to admit that it's gonna be a 50. It's gonna be on the fucking razor's edge, this one, which is gonna make it exciting because there's gonna be court trials as well, 91 criminal
Wow.
charges. It's gonna be
It's
epic.
it's like it's like a Netflix series, but
It's a
I'm
special.
starring and it's a real life. Anyway, what else do we have, George, on our menu for today?
We have some interesting news, some interesting further bad news from Israel, Luigi. And we had Netanyahu, who up to this point is the Israeli prime minister, telling the US that he opposes the creation of a Palestinian state after the Gaza war. He has told the White House that he rejects any moves to establish a Palestinian state when Israel ends its offensive against Gaza, whenever that may be, and that all territory west of the Jordan River would be under Israeli security control. There will be, yeah, whatever his public statements have represented his sharpest rebuttal of US foreign policy. What he said was he had a nationally broadcasted news conference. He vowed to press ahead with the offensive until Israel realized a decisive victory over Hamas. In any future arrangement, Israel needs security control of all territory west of the Jordan River. This collides with the idea of sovereignty. What can you do? And so, what can you do is the operative principle, it seems. Every territory we pull out from, we get terrible terror against us. It happened in southern Lebanon, it happened in the Gaza Strip, and it happened in the West Bank when we did it in parts. He added, the prime minister needs to be capable of saying no to our friends. So, I mean, it seems like a fuck you, isn't it?
Yeah, but basically means
A further
no.
fuck you, a further
Yeah, yeah.
fuck you to everybody, really, to everybody, let's be honest. So, I mean, what is this? Israel goes further mask off.
So,
I
so that-
mean,
I mean, here's the problem. Netanyahu is partly preaching to the right wingers that are basically propping up his government because the moment he loses those,
oh,
like, he
yes.
doesn't he doesn't have a government anymore. But at the same time, just telling the United States to basically go fuck itself in a very polite manner is also like very bizarre. Sort of.
We've entered the danger zone, Luigi.
I can't even think of a historical precedent. Like I can't think of a time in history where the US told another nation
And we
do
had
that.
sorry, Luigi, we had the
Yeah.
same with Saudi Arabia before, right?
Yeah, but sort of. Yeah, yeah. So there was some flexing, but ultimately the US is the master in that
100%,
relationship.
no, not to the degree of Israel, but I mean in terms of oil supply, stuff like that, you will have
Yeah.
more independence, more flexing, and then I mean with Israel, it's off the charts at this point. It's basically the whole world v Israel at this point.
Yeah. Be Israel and the US saying,
You want any
like,
guns? You want any guns? Hey, you,
yeah, yeah.
hey, you.
Uh,
You want some guns? Good guns, great guns. Have
the,
some guns. But yeah, I mean, this carried on solid. I mean, but he keeps insisting on it, BB, that there's no space for a Palestinian state, which goes back to, I mean, every time we've discussed this, I've made the clear point that it's up to Israel, it's not up to the Palestinians. You know,
clear.
it's rarely up to the party that has nothing to solve the whole situation. Rarely that in the world it ends up being the case. So. I mean, I think at this point, mask off. He's clear, doesn't want it. Stop entertaining the idea, doesn't want to hear it, right?
Someone could argue, BB is not gonna be there for much longer.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying, I'm talking
Yeah,
about Bibi right now, obviously. There's a possibility that the center-right party gets elected and not one of instead of the right-wing fundamentalists. Definitely, nobody knows what's going to happen going forward. But yeah, I mean, concerning Bibi, you have to admit that at this point, it's pretty evident this guy outside outside foreign pressure isn't going to do anything about this.
Yeah, I mean, foreign pressure, just telling someone, please do that, that is, empty, sort
What
of.
about what
Eh,
about what about Luigi, a strongly worded letter of disapproval?
yeah, that would be the European approach. Oh, mon
No,
ami, please, I'm gonna send you a letter.
but I mean, what about sanctions then or stuff like that? I mean, what I mean is,
At least the threat, like
oh yeah,
you
I mean,
have to
at
do
least
this
stop
or
stop
else.
bypassing
Yeah.
at least stop bypassing Congress to give them weapons. Maybe, maybe
And,
that.
And I mean, at least put something economic on the table, right? Because just telling another state to please do something, that's not going to happen.
And
I
I
mean,
mean,
if
well,
it's not,
but yeah, 100%. I mean, put something economic on the table. But I mean, at this point, even international aid groups are begging the United States and other countries to stop sending weapons that are being used in this catastrophe.
not even that. Yeah. So the we had some interesting developments in Europe. We shouldn't trash European politicians so much because sometimes,
I mean, in contrast, in slight contrast, I mean, the United States is slightly concerned in Europe. I mean, some in Europe, I mean, some high up in Europe. It's complicated in Europe. It takes a while to explain. Some high up in Europe are being a bit more critical than the United States. To our great credit, good sir, I would say.
yeah, it took them long enough,
Yeah,
but
definitely. Yeah, definitely.
yeah, so
25,000 and counting. Yeah.
the chief diplomat, you could say, for the European Union, came out to say, George,
The great Borrell, and I mean
Josep,
the great Josep, and importantly, they had a meeting. They used foreign ministers with the Israeli foreign minister, and the funniest shit, Luigi. Apparently, he came up to the meeting with a policy about creating an artificial island off the coast of Gaza, and then on the script, then a railway to India. I mean. Now
what?
it's been fudged. Initially, the reports was that the artificial island off the coast of Gaza was supposed to be for the Palestinians. Afterwards, it's a bit messier what exactly it was. But I mean, how about it, Luigi? Outer Haven.
Wow,
We
we're
will
gonna send
call
them
it.
to Paradise Island. For anyone that watched Attack on Titan, that would make sense.
I mean, everybody was like, what the fuck? Everybody in the EU, all the foreign ministers, like, what the fuck? What the fuck is this guy on?
What
But
the
yeah,
fuck? Like, who comes up with like what kind of staffer sits in a room? Like, how can I de-escalate the situation? I know. Let's build an artificial island and put people there. Yeah.
I mean, the great colleagues, Luigi, summoned him in Brussels to pave the way for a peace plan. And he came up with the fucking plans for the artificial island.
And the railway to India. How
And then,
how
yeah,
how how does that like
to get the good curry,
to
Luigi.
get curry directly from the source?
But
Import
I
the
mean,
curry.
but more seriously now, I mean, Joseph came out and I mean, apparently that he's determined to pursue the two-state solution, even if one of the two states is determined not to. But I mean, that's what he said, whether Israel said participate. And when I say critical, I mean, he was like, what are the other solutions that they have in mind? Make all the Palestinians leave, kill all of them? The way they are destroying Hamas is not the way to do it. They are sealing the hate for generations.
To
Not bad,
which
not bad for the sclerotic EU, right?
Yeah, not bad for the foreign policy chief, but I mean, we've been saying this for fucking months. It was
I mean,
clear since the very
obviously
beginning.
not as good as us, obviously. Well, I mean, for the
Yeah, let's tout our own horn.
No,
Let's
seriously,
do
it's
it.
a fucking obviously it's a catastrophe, and obviously all of our hands are fucking tainted, but some less so than others. Is that the silver lining?
Seems to be.
But
Seems
I just want to know, Luigi, interestingly, that Josep Borrell, basically the foreign minister of the EU, that's his position. Commission, what the fuck they're calling it these days, was the higher most appointment by the center left, by the left of the EU, by the Parliament. The Commission president and the Council president are right-wing appointments, are from the right. So I mean, goes to tell you that even these marginal gains. I mean, imagine if Ursula wasn't a center-right appointment and was instead Borrell by the left. They probably would have taken a more firm line, as Borrell has done. Just goes
Yeah.
to tell you that even the shitty center-left parties in the EU Parliament are better than the shitty center-right parties.
That is a great way to put it. And by the way, we have European Parliament elections in May, if I'm not mistaken, and Ursula is most likely going to be replaced. And the question is, like, if the Germans got the commissioner last time,
Oh, and we have interesting news with the
yeah,
Germans as well.
who gets the top spot this time? Is it the French or do the Germans do a double sort of?
It's always a fight between the French and the Germans, yes.
Yeah. I think that Ursula von der Leyen is the first German head of the EU. I believe she is. I mean, obviously the EU hasn't been around that long, so
Oh, and we're talking about the commissioner, right?
yeah,
So
we're talking about
many
the
EU,
commissioner.
yeah. Who is the
Yes,
EU executive, the head of the whatever, the president, supposedly.
the
Even though
what?
everybody knows the most important president is the president of Germany and France, whatever.
Yeah,
It's
chief
complicated.
chief signaler of good intentions.
Yes, it's the well of European politics, people. It's a work in progress. They used to
Uh,
eat each other 80 years ago.
yeah, we've come a long way. We
We've
have to
come a
admit
long
that.
way. Yes,
Now we
yes.
just make fun of each other and occasionally don't give each other loans.
And we want the EU, we want it, Luigi. We seriously want it to stand up to this atrocity being carried out by Israel, who at this point is going completely fucking balls to the walls. I don't give a shit about what anybody's telling. I don't care what Jack is telling me. I'm gonna
Yeah,
keep fucking doing what I'm doing. And we want the EU to at least stand up to it. And I mean, the bloc is a major provider of economic aid to the Palestinians. It has broad cooperation agreement with Israel. That includes a free trade area. Maybe take
yeah,
that off the menu and see how they
yeah,
respond.
exactly. I mean, you only have to hint at it, and suddenly it's serious, right? Suddenly that might change attitudes, but
It's sad. It's sad. Come on, EU.
yeah.
Save a Palestinian child. How
Yes,
even one makes a difference. Sorry, Lisa.
Joseph says how many is too many, and I mean, it's about time, It's good that he's saying it in words, but maybe it's time to sort of consider actions. Maybe if this doesn't work, now that we've strongly condemned it.
I mean, on the other hand, Luigi, where is it? I mean, you've got this. That's not a strong enough message to get fucking Jack to do anything about it.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's
No,
sad all around. Yeah.
so I mean, I don't expect people in the US to vote with foreign policy in
A
mind.
wise choice, Luigi. A wise choice.
One of the lesser issues,
A
like
wise
historically.
man, a wise man once said, "They don't give a shit about." Oh, yeah. No. Sorry.
Wow. Did you just come up with that?
No, never,
Nice.
never.
He was a
We
wise man.
take we take this shit seriously, people.
Good, Joseph.
Give me a break, man.
Give me a break. Shut up, man.
Oh, shut up. Oh, shut up.
Come
Fuck. Shut up.
on.
Yeah. Should we
Yeah. Uh,
this beautiful summation of our arguments? Should
let's keep
we?
going. Yeah, speaking of the Germans, probably keeping on to the
Speaking
EU.
of mein Fräulein, and we've got Alice Weidel, heard of her? Leader of Germany's far-right Alternative for Deutschland. It's very alternative, people.
Alternative.
Luigi, it's your favorite
It's,
type of right wing. It's the alternative version. I know you love them most.
I love them. It's
I like
semi-fascism.
hip fascism, hip. It's fresh, it's trendy, it's been remodeled, we're hip. Where she was, by the
Yeah.
way, interesting to note, I don't remember where. She was a former corporate banker, the leader of the AfD party in Germany, and we've had a lot of developments. She's now come out, Luigi, and has vowed to campaign for a Brexit-style EU exit vote in Germany, which I mean, clearly, as you can see with the UK, is obviously the right solution to any and all your problems, right?
Yeah. Just sever your closest economic relationships.
Sunak approves, people.
th- th-
Sunak
th-
approves.
There's gonna be no effect, no effect at all. We've had enough of experts.
The UK basically has been tired of winning ever since,
Yeah,
people. So, I mean, there's no way that this
so much
humble
winning.
podcast can criticize this idea. But I mean, the reason she has come out with this is that there's been a recent scandal surrounding the party. What has happened is since the beginning of a wave of nationwide, there have been nationwide protests against the AfD, triggered by revelations that leading members had attended a covert meeting at which a master plan for mass deportations of foreigners and German passport holders was discussed with a view to the party implementing the plans if it came to power. So this came out, it was a scandal. Many people participated in protests against the AfD in reaction to these revelations. More than 1 million people estimated to have participated in anti-different demonstrations across the country. This is good to see. I'm not going to lie. Good to
At least.
see.
So they were planning to deport German citizens, German
Uh,
passport holders.
German passport
As-
holders as well. It would, I mean, the illegals are the easy bait, but they wanted to go further than that. Yes.
Wow.
She didn't participate, Luigi, in the meeting, but I think one of her closest advisors did, senior aide, whom she has fired afterwards, showing you the scale that she wasn't able to avoid all damage. But so there were demonstrations
There were
because of that.
protests.
There were
There was
protests.
there was also a court case, George. I'm checking Politico now. Uh,
Yeah. There's been discussions she's a former investment banker, by the way. There's been discussions ever
the
since
good
about
Fräulein,
the good
investment
Fräulein.
banker, that makes total sense. Saving her country.
So there's been discussions, as you said, as to whether the party could be banned on the grounds that it is unconstitutional, because the German constitution is different from other constitutions in that regard. That if something is deemed a threat to democracy, then theoretically you could ban the party. On the back of the domestic intelligence agency having classified large parts of the party as right-wing extremists and put some of its highest-ranking members under surveillance. However, Scholz, the chancellor, seems to be against pursuing such a ban, on the dangers of it backfiring and galvanizing more support for the party
Exactly.
should it
Exactly.
fail.
So you shouldn't ban them, like banning a party that is basically anti-immigration really sends the wrong message. Like
I mean,
it's a step too far. If any country was
it,
gonna do it, it should be Germany, given the history, to be fair. But I mean, I still think it's a little bit extreme to ban a political party that isn't like killing people. We're discussing immigration. Yeah, deporting German
it's a bit
passport holders
extreme,
is
isn't it?
probably,
It's a bit
yeah,
extreme, but maybe you're not wrong on this. Maybe.
it can definitely backfire. I mean, at the very least, it's gonna harden their base, and they already have a pretty large base. Look, I mean, we've seen sort of semi-light fascists sort of taking power in other countries, and no, they've toned down their stance. Thinking about Italy in particular. So,
Yes. I mean, currently, the alternatives are enjoying their highest standing in the polls since their formation in 2013, between 20 and 23% on a federal level, ahead of all three of the parties which make up the Chancellor Olaf Scholz beleaguered coalition. In the eastern states, they're pretty high. But it is being kept out of power by other parties ruling out any form of coalition with the party. So I mean, German public support for membership of the EU is very high, with recent polls showing it at around 80%.
the statistic speaks for itself. German public support for membership in the EU is around 80%.
It's extremely
And
high.
wait, and the AFD polls at around 20%.
Oh
So
yeah,
you've got like 20% of the people who are just against being in Europe and they're for the AFD.
pretty much squares out, right? It pretty much
Yeah,
checks
pretty
out.
much. Yeah, the numbers check out. The fact that this is now basically the largest party in Germany, that's a problem.
Problematic, yeah.
Problematic.
But I
No,
mean,
no.
doesn't mean that they're gonna be that they're gonna have that Alice is gonna be the next prime minister.
Chancellor, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, that's what's confusing. Yeah, Chancellor
But
of Germany.
she doesn't have to. So here's how I'm coming around it, right? If 20% of the people are freaking out about immigration so much that they're willing to support basically like far right people, maybe you should sort of throw them a bone. Maybe,
I think they are, Luigi. I think the Christian party, Merkel's party at this point,
uh-huh.
headed by Friedrich Merz, I think they're going far more right wing on immigration. And I mean, even at this point, Scholz isn't pro-immigration. Nobody's pro-immigration.
Yeah, so in theory, AFD shouldn't be surging. Now, we should put the economics into all of this as well, because it's been a year now or more where Germany's economy has basically been stagnant, right? And sort of teetering on the edge of a minor recession, but not really falling into one. So it's not that great economically speaking. Maybe that's a factor playing into
100%. And when you continually have coalitions of various assortments of the same parties, eventually they're gonna want to have the party that's never ruled before. The one
exactly
that
to
curiously is
try
also very
something new.
hard, is also
Yeah.
very hard against immigration. And then the
So
stars align and we have the Fourth Reich.
here's the latest piece of news on this saga. Germany's top court ruled in favor of cutting state funding for an extreme right party in a decision that is likely to further fuel an already strident debate in the country
Yeah.
about whether legal steps should be
Must be
taken to
taken, yeah. There's a,
rein in
there's
the
a there's a
AFD.
debate about it, yeah. Whether
So
should be banned on constitutional grounds or not.
they've cut their money, their state money. I don't know what the amount of that is. In 2016, the party received 1.1 million euros.
That is a lot of
Tuesday's
money for alternatives.
Tuesday's ruling ensures it cannot get funding for a 6-year period.
Interesting
Wow.
development. I want to say that the nuance you brought up in terms of if they're just anti-immigration, and it's a very interesting nuance and a discussion to be had, whether you can ban them for that. But I think in terms of people like Bolsonaro, who attempted to do a coup, basically, I'm very in favor of banning them.
That's very
And and
different.
I
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think Trump should have been banned some time ago. But that's different. Yes, that's very different from what you have said. Yeah. I mean, it's essentially just being 100% again, even if it tanks your economy, which it will, and even if it creates massive misery, which it will if you start massively
You
having mass
should have some
deportation.
flexibility. You should have some flexibility to do that if that's what the country wants. Like, if the country is willing to support crazy people, I mean, not necessarily crazy, but extreme
I think
leaders just because of that.
anyway,
hmm
we could keep having the discussion, but I think it's off the point that we were talking about. So should we finish up on
Finish up
on this
on.
one?
Oh,
You wanted it especially China,
I
beautiful
wanted to talk about
China.
China. China hasn't been doing that well. So look, here's the weird thing about China. So you keep reading all of these reports that the economy is struggling, and a lot of property developers, a lot of a lot of people that sold loans to those people, they are facing sort of default. But nothing has really changed in the economic data, right? China's economy, if you believe the official data, has decelerated from like 6% growth to 5%. So either something really weird is happening in China, or the books are being tinkered with a little bit more than usual. In any case, that's the economic data. Investors have been, panic leaving Chinese stocks basically in a panic. Their stock market is at its lowest point in almost um, 5 years. And
And what is
they're
that?
getting
What is that attributed on, Luigi? Why are they panicking that much?
because you don't. So here's the issue with China, right? Your property market blows up. Historically speaking, if you look at other economies where that's happened, it takes years to recover from that. Several years.
It's a
Japan in the
massive
90s,
blow. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So
Because it's like 20% of GDP. It's
yeah,
huge numbers.
25 in
Huge
China. So
numbers.
it's a
Yeah.
fourth of the economy. And there's a lot of like banks and shadow banks that are sort of based on that. In any case, the economy is in a little bit of a mess, and Beijing has so far been very reluctant to stimulate its way out of it because they're also sitting on a very big debt pile, private debt in China, because every corporation is half owned by the state and half private. Like if the state says, all of these private corporations are going to invest and do something, it happens, right? So you can get a lot of, like, you can raise money, you can raise debt, and you can do it on the private balance sheet instead of the public. But if you look at
Wow.
the whole country, the debt is there. I mean, as a whole. So it's a very leveraged economy in terms of debt. Therefore, they've been reluctant to add even more debt and do the stimulus that they need to do. So their solution, and this brings us to this article, is that they decided that they're going to stimulate the stock market specifically. They're gonna set up like an offshore fund with 2 trillion yuan, that's like $250 billion, give or take, behind it, to just basically buy stocks and hope that this turns the stock market around, or at least it helps. And
They shall open the taps, Luigi.
I don't really know if that's the solution. Like that's sort of the
Isn't that the
patch.
West? Isn't that the Western solution?
Yeah, I mean that keeps investors happy. Investors are very happy. I'm just talking
They
about.
like the liquidity. They love it.
Yeah. I'm just talking about whether this is the correct way to spend that money. Like this is the biggest stimulus they've announced, and they're doing it on the stock market instead of the actual economy. So
Sounds like a very non-communist way to do it. Great, great leader. I mean, we love you, Xi. You know it. You know it. I mean, Jesus Christ, best buddies. But you could be a little bit more communist with the taps. Give them vouchers,
support
Xi. Give them
support
vouchers.
the stock market. We must.
We must. We
We
must.
must. Because God forbid investors ever get scared. Yeah, by the way, it's not insignificant money, right? It's 1.5% of GDP, so of the economy, basically. So,
That is a
you know,
lot, yes.
that's quite a lot in terms of a one-off stimulus just for the stock market. Oh, we'll see how that turns out.
Should we then call it a day, Luigi,
Let's
after
let's
this?
do that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We've gone around the world in less than 60 minutes, hopefully.
Easily, easily.
Yeah.
Even my
So,
greatest enemies, they would admit they're so fast around the whole world. Namibia, Vietnam, the way was all of them.
all
20
right.
minutes tops, 20 minutes. Under budget. Sorry, Luigi. Sorry. Yeah.
All right. On that cheerful note, should we call it a day?
The day, I mean, it's Donny's day. Let's be honest. We're just
It's,
we're
it's
just living in it. We're just living in it.
yeah. Yeah. Cheers to another 4 years of crazy talk.
It's gonna be epic. It's gonna be
It's gonna
epic.
be.
You know it.
I'm trying to prepare myself mentally, and I'm having trouble.
Excellent, excellent. So everybody, see you again next week.
See you. Enjoy.
Bye bye.